Okay, hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Make Today Count. We've got another amazing guest for you today. And today, all the way from Spain, we've got burnout and wellness coach, Bianca Topham. Bianca, how are you doing? Are you okay?
I'm fantastic. Thank you so much for having me today.
No, you're really welcome. Really looking forward to today's conversation. Here in the UK, which I'm sure is the same for you guys over in Spain as well, we've got a lot of people kind of getting back into work, getting back into business after lockdowns, all that kind of stuff. And through talking to people actually this week, when I was out working, it seems that people are kind of jumping into their work back after they're excited to get back into their work. But equally, they're finding that they're working a bit too much to try and catch up with stuff. So I think this is going to be a really helpful conversation that we're going to have today. I think it's going to help a ton of people. But before we jump into that, what I'd love to do, if people haven't come across you on Instagram or some of the other work that you do, can you give us a bit of background about kind of, how you moved up to where you are now and kind of a bit to your backstory, please?
Yeah, sure. So hi to everybody listening. It's really lovely to connect with you all. I'm Bianca Topham, a burnout and wellness coach. I'm ICF approved as well. So for me, it all began when I was living in London. I worked as a freelance photo editor in women's glossy magazines. I absolutely loved my job, but I really overdid it in many areas of my life, stretched myself too thin. I was ignoring many signs that my health was in pieces. I was sick all the time. I needed antibiotics every month. I could barely work. And I needed to recover at the weekend in time for Monday, which I didn't do. And what I didn't realize was that, my core energy was really being depleted at the time. So inevitably, I ended up severely burnt out. At that time, I didn't have a clue what was happening or what steps I would need to take to get better. But luckily, my mum lives in Spain, and she finally convinced me to go to Spain for a quick 6-month break. But unfortunately, it turned out that my journey needed a lot longer than that. I needed really to do some serious deep inner work as well as physically repairing myself. So over the years, I created a much healthier, sustainable lifestyle. Soon after, I met my husband. We had a boy who's 3 years old. And since I've built my online coaching business to be able to help others.
That's perfect. And I usually find when I have conversations with people that their passions and what they do now come out of a space when they had some challenges, and I think that makes us perfectly placed for helping others. And obviously that's what you're doing now. If people haven't come across coaches around kind of burnout and that kind of stuff, when or why do people usually come to you for coaching? Is it at a certain time? Is it for certain things? How for the clients, I guess, that you've worked with so far, what kind of similarities have you seen with those?
So my clients are either going through or beginning to feel burnt out or overwhelmed, and they need help on how to prevent it, get through it, or maybe they're just feeling extremely high levels of stress, or they're juggling too many things in their lives, or it can be because they've got a mix of physical and emotional issues like sleeping badly, a lack of energy, unhealthy habits, lack of exercise, poor diet. And beneath that, they can also have many fears of change, quite a lot of inner conflicts, self-limiting beliefs that are standing in the way of moving forward, either achieving their goals or becoming the best versions of themselves. So they come to me knowing deep down that something's got to change and that they can't carry on like this, but they're not sure how or where to even begin. They're in this vicious cycle. They're pretty lost. They do know that they really want to connect to their truest selves, figure things out, and that can happen with the right framework. You can move to clearly much healthier, more sustainable future, and generally they come away a brand new person.
Yeah, definitely. I think also as well, what I'm hearing is that I'm guessing a lot of clients maybe have tried lots of other different things. They know they're feeling kind of burnt out. Maybe in the past they've used diet or they've used sleep or maybe some other things, but my hunch is that they're coming to you sort of saying, right, I've tried all these things, all the things I can think of. I'd really love some guidance around, where do I go next? And I think, when I've experienced burnout in the past, I'm guessing it's going to be very different from another person that's kind of experienced burnout. Is that the case? Is everyone's kind of burnout as it such, it sort of integral individual to them?
Yeah, really good point. So the way it was defined in the past, there were two writers, one called Pines and Arison. They defined it as a physical and emotional and mental exhaustion caused by long-term involvement in emotionally demanding situations. This is spot on. It did used to just stem from work-related issues, but now it can be caused from a multitude of problems where basically it's taking so much from you that you really have not much left to give. Also, someone else that was very important, an American psychologist called Frodenberg, sorry, terrible pronunciation. Back in the 1970s, he described burnout as a consequence of excessive stress leading to chronic fatigue and lack of enthusiasm. So when stress becomes chronic, it can seriously take its toll on the physical, the mental, emotional well-being of an individual. Now, the difference just between stress and burnout is that stress is often short-term, can be linked to maybe a specific situation. Your emotions become overactive. It's generally felt that if you could just get on top of things, that you'll be okay. And stress is also becoming more obvious to us now. We're learning about it. We're becoming more aware of it. But burnout can creep in very slowly. Many are still very unaware of what it is, for example, in my case. And there can be a multitude of symptoms, like you said, no one size fits all for sure. So that can be caused by severe stress. It can be mainly work related, not always. And it can stem from factors, some obvious factors like work, personal issues, bad sleep, for parents, for example, over perfectionism, being a people pleaser, for example. Also, now we're seeing a lot of those blurred boundaries with the work-life balance as well, always feeling like you're plugged in, and just the world situation around us as well. But then also there's some not so obvious factors to burnout as well. That could be past experiences, maybe your childhood, not fulfilling your core values as well, your needs, desires, beliefs in life. And I just wanted to point out that burnout certainly doesn't mean like you're a failure. A lot of people feel like they're failing or ashamed of the fact, and it doesn't mean that you can't cope either. It just means that something you're doing in life, maybe a certain path that you've chosen or situation, is just not aligned to your true calling, to your true values. And maybe you just need to unlearn some behavior, learn some personal tools for the demands of this life. And for me, for example, personally, I was so far down the burnout path, didn't even know burnout existed. This is about 7, 8 years ago. And my symptoms were extreme. So I had to really start from scratch and build up. So going from that, if you want, I can tell you some of the symptoms, how it presents itself as well.
I think because I think there's going to be some people that are listening to this or watching this either on YouTube, and they may think, it's definitely burnout that I've experienced in the past or I'm experiencing at the moment. But I think there's also going to be some people that maybe don't necessarily identify it as burnout. So perhaps they've always had something that they've always kind of had, as it were, and they've just accepted it as, that just happens to me, or sometimes I have that. How does it kind of present itself? Is it more of a physical aspect? Is it more of a mental thing, or is it kind of a mixture, I guess, of both?
It can be a combination of lots of different things, depending on your experience, your current situation, all those factors that we've discussed before.
Yeah.
I think firstly, you really need to tune in to your body, what's going on. Stop ignoring the signs as well. It can be broken down into, for example, you said health. So some of those health symptoms could be unexplained problems that are going on. Maybe you've got headaches, fatigue, nausea. I had all of those. Lack of libido. You've also got poor self-care, maybe such as diet, sleep, and exercise. Also throw in maybe some destructive habits. And generally it's a real exhaustion and unable to have a routine. So that could be some health things. The next thing, it could be emotional or mental as well. So this could be some anxiety, maybe you're feeling detachment as well, maybe from your job, low moods, feelings of not enough as well, you're feeling too empty to care, finding yourself, it's difficult to concentrate on things, changing in your behavior as well, if you're feeling anger, irritable for no reason at all, serious procrastination, doubting yourself, negativity. But like we did say before, everyone is very different. Some symptoms can develop a lot slower than others. But the good news is that you can prevent this if you're willing to reflect, do the work, and open up to the possibility of change.
Yeah. One of the ones that stuck out for me, you were just saying that, is one I hadn't thought of at all, was destructive habits. For people that might be listening to it who might not know that term, what is kind of meant by destructive habits? Is it just kind of like, I don't know, you tell me, how does that break it down?
So it could be you've got a destructive relationship with alcohol, for example. Some serious binge drinking going on, or there's more drinking going on than usual. Maybe it's creeping in a little bit more, and if it's detrimental to your health as well, your physical and emotional health. Or maybe it's destructive as when you're feeling emotional, you turn to more food sometimes. So those kind of destructive habits,
which are really prevalent, because I think in those moments where we feel sad, or we're not feeling good about ourselves, that kind of thing, we often veer over to those things sometimes, don't we? Because they give us comfort in that small moment.
Exactly that. And also, when you are burning out or overwhelmed, your energy tank is so low that you need to fill it up. You need to get through the day. So in the morning, you're maybe drinking coffee, which is great, that's fine. But how much coffee are you drinking throughout the day? Like, are you trying to draw out more energy than you actually have? How many cups of coffee is that? And then what are you doing to wind down at night? Are you drinking one glass of wine? Are you drinking a whole bottle? I think people know themselves when they're using those things as a crutch, and it's becoming destructive.
Yeah, definitely. So for the person listening to this who thinks, there's definitely some things that I resonate with when Bianca's talking there. And I'm guessing you have this conversation when people first come to you. It's kind of like, well, I know all these things are happening, like, where do I start to try and get myself better? I guess that's the first kind of conversation you walk people through a consultation, I suppose.
Yeah, sure. I think, got to make it clear as well that there is no quick fix as well. There is no, band-aid and tomorrow you'll be great. Especially through coaching, you really need to do that deep work to discover why you got into the situation that you got into. But reflect on that yourself. It's a very personal journey. And also how to move forward with that. So it can take time, but that journey is beautiful. It really is. When I burnt out from my road to recovery to where I am now, I wouldn't change it for the world. It's been the most powerful, beautiful, magical journey. Yes, it's been the most difficult thing I've probably ever been through. But if I hadn't have gone through that, I've also got to be grateful. If I hadn't have gone through that, I wouldn't be where I am today. So
yeah, definitely. I think we've all had moments of that where in the moment it seemed like it's the worst thing in the world, but when we look back on it in the months or years later, when we've passed through it, and these things are fleeting, you know, we move through it and we get to the other side. But when we look back on them, as you rightly say, you know, there's so many benefits that have come out the back of it. You know, maybe things you're now doing that you weren't doing before. Maybe there are opportunities that you're now taking that you didn't take before because you didn't understand yourself to that level, perhaps. You know, there's so many things I think that we can take away from this. And for people that have kind of saying, right, they're sort of ticking off their checkbox, so it's like, okay, I've got sleep, that's not too good, maybe I'm using food in an unhealthy way, maybe they've got a list of a few things. Is it kind of what's the kind of approach for when you work these things out? Is it kind of like taking one of them one by one, or do you find that it kind of has a bit of a snowball effect in that when you start to work with someone on this stuff, things start to kind of fall away, you know, from where you were before?
Yeah. So when I work with someone, it is about finding that balance as well. So for example, in coaching, we sometimes start with a wheel of life, or myself, I start with a wellness wheel. I'm wellness trained. This, for anyone who doesn't know, it's like a circular pizza. It's got different sections, for example, stress, work-life balance, sleep, energy. They all represent your current life and your current feelings. What you can do is you can shade them in according to how you feel in your current moment and how satisfied you are with each section. If you shade it in at the bottom, that means you're not very satisfied. If you shade it right at the top, that means, you know, great, you're good to go. So what we do is we start to, you know, with their permission, of course, discuss the areas that they feel that need work on.
Okay.
It becomes a lot clearer when you have a wellness wheel. Sometimes in life, everything is just like, oof, you know, it's dark, it's on our shoulders, we can't figure things out. And I'm a big fan of getting things out on paper and discussing them. And then what we can do is we'll start discussing, we'll start formulating a plan for them to take. And firstly, for that plan to really work, you need to get the foundations. You also need to accept that you can't do everything. You can't solve all of the problems in one go. I like to send my clients maybe to an urgent, important matrix to-do list as well. That can help in the meantime. Secondly, so I think roughly that's where we begin. Really, is that answering?
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think you mentioned there about, you know, that sort of urgent matrix of things to do as well. Is that to kind of get people going, for them to tick off some kind of quick wins, or are they things that you kind of identify as like, if we want to progress in this way, we need to really knock these things on the head first?
So I think, you know, there's some great things that you've said there, but you know, that's just an aid, you know, that's just to help if you're a little bit confused with your to-do list, if you're finding it a little bit overwhelming. I wouldn't suggest that, you know, you concentrate on that for your big goals in life, or you know, you want to change habits or changing direction. That's just something to help you day to day. You know, what do I need to do now, and what can really wait until tomorrow?
Yeah, definitely. So I guess that's great, because, you know, when you've done the wheel of life there, you can identify the core areas which you feel you need to work on, and then I'm guessing, like as you say, it's then putting a plan in place with some direct goals that you can start to work with someone like yourself on. When we're thinking of those goals, you know, down to how much kind of detail do they need to be? Are they just kind of like generalized, or do we need to be specific in certain, you know, like what I used to know as like a SMART goal, or, you know, I used to use those in the past, down to how much kind of detail do we need to take some of those?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, firstly, I could just take that a step back a bit, and I think before you actually set the goal, it's, you know, it's really great to reflect on why you're setting the goal. So a couple of questions you could ask yourself would be, you know, what makes you happy? What inspires you? What areas of your life do you feel you'd like to focus on right now? And this goal of how much importance is it to you? If you achieve this goal in 6 months down the line, what would your life look like? How would you feel?
Yeah.
So get those foundations in place and make sure that you're aligned to your goal as well. Is this really what I want as well? And then you need to make sure it's realistic and achievable as well. You can't say, oh, I want to move to Italy tomorrow, or win so much money. You need to stretch yourself, move yourself out of that comfort zone for sure. That's where the learning can take place. That's where the magic starts to happen. It will feel uncomfortable. You probably come up against a lot of fears as well. But and you also need to avoid the feelings of, once I reach my goal, I'll be happy. So it's also about the person that you become on the journey. You got to think that you're setting up also newer lifelong habits, because that goal, it may actually change, or it may shift as well, or what was right for you then may not be right for you in the future. So here's an example of how setting a goal could work as well. So if you want to start exercising, for example, you would start with a very small change. So we'd be changing the process. We'd nail down the day, how often you want to do it, how long you want to do it for, and we make sure that it was a stretch, but it's also achievable. After repeating this habit for a while, that means that you've taken action and you've now created a memory. The memory of this, which hopefully will make you feel great, creates a desire in you. This becomes imprinted in our new software as well. You've accepted this, you've agreed to this, that becomes your new identity and your reality. So when you do set those goals, it's very important to ask, who do I want to become? What will it feel like to achieve this? And also, what could stand in the way? It's great to, foresee things, any obstacles that may happen as well, so that you know how to, confront them when the time arises. And we just want to set goals for a more sustainable way of life, really. You want to get good satisfaction from them. And the detail really depends to you. I mean, I would start small and then just build on that as well. Like I said, they've got to be achievable as well.
Yeah, no, that's really great. With the goals themselves, do you find that people start off being, I guess, a little bit more conservative around what they want to achieve, or do people just go all out and say, look, I need to do this? Is it a bit of a mixture, or how do people usually go?
It's a bit of a mixture, and some of the goals sometimes can be external, maybe physical as well. I want to meditate, I want to start this exercise program, and some of them can be internal as well. People don't really know, I'll start asking them what I said before, exactly what day do you want to do it, how often do you want to do it? That's when that's when sometimes they can get a little bit uncomfortable, but it stretches them for sure. And that's when they really consider, how are they going to fit this into their very demanding lives? If they've set the bar too high with the goal, it can be great. It definitely gives them a lot more ambition. They've got higher standards. You've got that drive towards the goal. But also you do have to be careful, because you could be at the risk of exhausting yourself as well with your goals. Putting too many eggs in one basket as well. And just ask yourself as well, is this really your goal, not society or what someone else thinks that you should do, but is it really going to satisfy you as well? So lots of things to consider there.
I can really see how that those steps through going with you can really help someone, because I'm guessing that when you're in that moment, or you've got your own thoughts going on, so generally in the moment they're not that positive thoughts, are they? You're sort of perpetuating the same things again. But I guess exactly what you're saying there, having that moment to go through with you and kind of visualizing what your life could be like if you were in that situation, projecting yourself into that can be really powerful. And I know myself from other things that I've done and challenges I've had in the past, where that kind of visualization is so helpful, because you spent so long sometimes in the moment of not feeling that great, just just projecting yourself into that where you want to be and start to kind of reliving some of that and making it really visceral can be just like light and day, can't it? It can really take you out of that space and put you in a better mindset to push yourself towards where you want to go, I guess.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got our goals and we sort of set them up. Now, we all know with goals that, you know, we need to measure them, and we need to measure them going forward just to make sure, I guess, that we're on track with what we said we would do. I'm guessing when you check in from time to time with your clients as well, it's kind of like catching up. How has the, you know, the previous month been, or whatever? How often do we need to be tracking them? I'm guessing it probably depends on the goal itself and kind of, you know, what that means to you and how many stages there are. But is there kind of a rough kind of guide as to what you would recommend, how often we need to go back to our goals and kind of track them in?
It's what you said. It completely depends on the person, the goal as well, what type of a goal it is. And yeah, going back to the person, you know, if you need to keep tracking it constantly, then great, then do that. There's a lot of ways that you can do this as well. You know, you can mix that up. You can track your progress with maybe having an accountability buddy.
Yeah.
That's, you know, someone who you could bounce some ideas off. You both bring some fresh ideas to the table, and you're in a very honest and safe space with them as well. Also, you don't want to disappoint people as well, so that's a good way to have some kind of tracking. Something else that you could do, generally I do this with all my clients, very simple, is you can just write down your goal somewhere that you're going to be able to see it frequently. On your fridge, on your desktop, next to your bed. You don't want it to, you know, annoy you, but you do want to make sure you're just seeing that every so often. Few other things that you could do is you could actually, if you're creative, you could do a motivational drawing as well to inspire you, or you could get some kind of an inspirational quote as well, or a photograph to work towards. Also, you could try, again, that visualization, but you could try it in a future affirmation. For example, I am Bianca and the year is 2022. Set the exact date a year from advance. I've achieved all my goals and it's been a great success. It's been amazing. Insert adjective, and these are the reasons why. So you could do that as well. I think also it's important to remember to reward yourself when you are tracking your goals, and realize that you are going on, you know, it's quite a new journey of discovery. So to be able to reward yourself, you know, you need to just stop and just breathe, reflect a little bit, maybe look at how far you've come. See what you've achieved as well, any results or anything like that. Also, that will help motivate you to go on as well. So you do need to celebrate your successes instead of just always, you know, tracking. So it's a healthy mix. You've got to go with what feels good for you as well.
Yeah, two really massive points there, really helpful points around accountability, which I think is huge. And like you've mentioned there, you know, just checking in with someone, and it doesn't have to be, I'm guessing, you know, the person who has the same kind of issue. It could be a friend that maybe has got something else that they're working on themselves, and then you just kind of check in. And you know, this can be, you know, now if they're far away, you can use Zoom as we are now to kind of check in. So there's kind of so many options, I guess, for that. And like you say, the other thing was the prompts, which you mentioned as well. You know, just having something that around the house. In the past, I know I've changed my wallpaper on my computer to something, a quote or something, or like a vision board type thing, which has really helped. Or maybe, like you say, on the bathroom mirror as you're brushing your teeth in the morning, you know, something that you're going to see every day. I think that's really helpful, because in my own experience, it's just scattered those little moments in the day where it just kind of reminds you, because, you know, I think you'll agree that we can set these goals, but then kind of sometimes life can get back in the way, and we can just, you know, we're busy and we go about our daily tasks, but just having those little key moments where we can kind of bring ourselves back to think, oh yeah, I need to do that, or I need to do this, can be really helpful. You know, the role that you have is such an amazing role with working with clients, because you're able to see them at the beginning and take them through a journey, and then obviously see the fruits of their success afterwards, and see how much they've changed. And you know, that must be a really lovely experience to take someone through. What are the main benefits, do you think, that you've seen for clients from taking them from that kind of feeling of burnout, that feeling of, I've tried all this stuff and nothing much has helped, to getting them to fruition and them saying, oh goodness, this has really changed things for me? What have been kind of the main benefits for them that you've seen?
So it's interesting because people, when they do come to me at the beginning, well, actually towards the end of our relationship together, they'll say to me, gosh, I thought coaching would be you giving me lots of instructions. I thought the work would be done for me. And I thought it would be a tick box activity that I wouldn't have to think or analyze that much, and it wouldn't be that emotional. Now, I'm not saying it's very emotional for everyone, but generally, it's a very powerful journey that they go on. And they can also come to me for, maybe there's one symptom, a physical thing, or, one emotional thing. They think it's that one problem that's going on. But actually, when we do dig deeper, over a period of time, you realize that can stem from either really far back as well, or it can be an accumulation of things as well. So my clients generally, they go on this very powerful self-discovery journey. They have to stop. They have to reflect. They learn to become a lot more aware of how to react in situations as well. They all say to me how mindful as well they've become with their choices. They've got a much more positive outlook on life. We have a chance to work on those self-limiting beliefs that they may have, any fears, and we work towards those goals as well if they, if that's what they want. They also sometimes think that they're going to get from point A to point B in this fashion, and sometimes the journey can be like this, and sometimes they may end up over here. So it is a very personal journey, but overall they'll discover truly what they want from life, and it really sets them up for really long lasting, satisfying and sustainable change as well.
And fabulous new opportunities, I'm guessing, as well. I know, for myself that work with clients through the work that I do, it's great to then see them when you kind of leave them as such, them going off and doing all these exciting new things, because they've got this kind of confidence, they've got this spark in them to go and do great things in the world. So I can really relate with how great that feeling is to watch your clients do that. For the person that's listening that kind of thinks, I've identified that there's some stuff that I need to kind of work with someone for, and maybe think, maybe a coach is kind of the right fit for me at this time. Maybe I've tried to do things myself and I've kind of done it for a little while, and I just need some accountability around some of this stuff. What would your advice be around kind of looking for a coach? Because I'm guessing there's coaches for lots of different things, but I'm guessing the first thing is the personality of the coach, and that you kind of connect with them, because you're going to be working with them for quite a while.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So I think firstly you need to think about whether it's a coach you need, a mentor, or a counselor as well. I generally have to say to people, do you know the difference between counseling and coaching as well? They're very different professions. Coaching always has a definite ending. It's about where you are now, where you want to be, exploring why you've not been able to get to where you want to get to as well. And we definitely explore the past that, inevitably it always comes up. But if you are stuck in the past, or if it's the past is having a real profound effect on your present, that's when you need to see a counselor. So once you've decided that you do want a coach, it's exactly what you said. You need to find a coach that you feel aligns with you, with your values as well, because you will be sharing a lot of personal information with them, and you'll be going into new spaces emotionally, and you've got to feel very comfortable with that as well. And I think also I would check their credibility as well. I would ask them, have they studied? What did you study? How long for? What type of coaching do you do? What type of situations? Can I see some of your testimonials as well? What's your way of working? How many sessions are offered? Payment, and is there any extras? So get straight in there, and just be confident as well.
And I'm guessing
Yeah.
also, you know, feel free to reach out to maybe past clients of these people. You know, I think any coach that's confident in the work that they're doing will quite, you know, with their permission, of course, you know, be quite happy to allow you to have a conversation with that person. I think when we can understand face to face, you know, the benefits someone's had, you know, there's no better kind of recommendation than that, I think. And
that's such a good point, for sure. I think a lot of my clients as well, I say to them, you know, would you be okay, you know, if someone reached out to you as well? Because online there is so many coaches, like you said, and you do, you know, you're going into this very new space, and you need to feel comfortable with it as well. And you know, it's all online, and so you need to trust in the person that you're going to be going on this journey with, for sure.
Yeah, and to understand kind of like the process of working with someone. So if we took, you know, the work that you do, for example, Bianca, what's kind of the timeline or the process that you would take someone through? I'm guessing it starts with a kind of an initial consultation of some sort.
Yeah, absolutely. So when someone approaches me, I'll offer them a free breakthrough call. During this chat, this is unlimited time, obviously. During this chat, we'll get to know each other. I'll explain my story, how I work to the ICF code of ethics as well, what coaching is, what it isn't as well. We'll also see where the client wants to go, the results they want to get, what their current reality is, what's been holding them back. And also we'll discuss a plan for them and how to move forward. Also contracts, payments, all those kind of things, and how many sessions they're thinking of as well. You know, this could vary from maybe an intensive weekend to five months, or to a 10-month journey as well. So it really is very personalized. There can be homework as well in between sessions, and some accountability phone calls as well, if that's what, you know, the client is after. Each session can take about 60 to 75 minutes. During the first session, it's really about uncovering and understanding, you know, what's going on with their client. I'll take them through a powerful visualization as well. And then the client will come up with a very inspirational goal for them to work towards throughout our journey. And then from the second session onwards is when we start to put down some tangible actions to work towards as well.
Okay.
You know, external, internal, like what we said before, whatever is right for the client. And then after each session, what you said before as well, we discuss, you know, what worked, what didn't work, why didn't it work, how would you like to move forward? Again, no tick boxing, no shaming, no judging. You know, it's about their journey. Do they feel closer to the goal? Does the goal still align with them? Does it still sit well with them? And is that where they want to go? So generally, the coach is there to help the client make informed choices themselves about how they want to live their life. And I'll just support them along that journey.
Yeah. And a great point I think you made earlier on was that definition between a coach and a mentor and a counselor. And I think in that initial kind of discovery period where you don't kind of know what you need, that's really helpful. And I think you'll agree that, you know, any professional that's worth their salt will, you know, if you've had that conversation and you find, and that person finds that maybe you're not the right fit for that person, but they're able to pass you to someone else. I think that's when you get a real mark of someone that really cares about the situation and really wants you to do well. Because, you know, if you're not a good fit, the best thing is to kind of move to someone else. And, you know, and you guys are in the best place because you've probably got contacts of other people in different fields that maybe you've collaborated with before, that you know with. So, you know, I guess the point is, you know, if you're having those consultations initially, don't feel disheartened if maybe you're not the right fit for that person, but feel excited that you're going to be pushed into the right direction and get more benefit and get more out of that situation.
Yeah, that's so true. Also, you know, you're not everyone's cup of tea. You need to have a look around and see, you know, who is the coach for you, for your journey. And for sure, if you're not a right fit, then they should be telling you straight away. Otherwise, it's going to be a tough journey and it won't be the right one.
Yeah. This podcast is called Make Today Count. The reason for that, Bianca, is that, it was set up so that we can get people involved with new conversations around different topics that maybe they haven't come across before. And that from after listening to the conversation, they could go and take away that one tip, that thing that maybe if they were interested or they thought, oh, that really resonated with me when I was listening to that, and I want to do something about it. That kind of one thing that they could do that next day and take that very small step. And I think we'll all agree that sometimes when we're excited about trying something new or changing something in our lives, the knee-jerk reaction is to go, I'm going to do all these different things. And then what usually happens is that you just not do much at all. You just kind of hit a brick wall at some point. So when we're thinking about burnout, when we're thinking about someone that wants to create more balance in their lives, what would be a really small first step that someone listening to this could take away and move forward with tomorrow?
So it might be a bit of an unconventional answer, but
no, I love
I'm
that.
actually going to say that you need to listen and trust your intuition and your body.
Okay.
That gut feeling, you've got to draw on your own wisdom. You have that there. We've been made with that. And just listen, what is it telling you? Apparently we only live about 10% of our potential, and there's 90% that is dormant. So, I think you need to, ask yourself maybe what's lacking in your life. Also, you could, if you need a little bit more direction, you could think about some of the key pillars in your life as well. So the physical, the emotional, the mental, the spiritual as well, your purpose in life. So what's one thing that you could do now to live that more fulfilled, stable, balanced life where you're living to your full potential? So I think if you take anything away from that, it's actually reflect within yourself. You've got that answer. I can't go out and I can't go and tell you, you've got to do this, you've got to do this, you've got to do this. You've got to discover that yourself. And that's when you're going to make some really lasting changes in your life.
That's perfect. And guys, if you're listening to this or watching it over on YouTube, and you're busily noting down some things which you can maybe do in that first step, let us know. Reach out to us both either on Instagram or some other place. We'd love to hear what you guys have got as information to move forward with all the stuff you've got going on, Bianca. And if you haven't if you're not following Bianca already, please do so on Instagram. She's really active on there. Lots of value, lots of lives which are really helpful. Some really interesting people on there to have a chat with. What else have you got coming up? I'm sure there's some other things that you've got coming up.
There is, yes. So I've got a free live masterclass that I'm just cooking up for the end of July. It's going to be completely jam-packed with things. I'm going to be sharing a lot of tips on things that worked for my well-being and how I got through burnout as well. There's going to be very powerful, deep reflection and goal-setting activity as well. That's going to help you just focus, give you some more energy as well. And then I think we'll probably finish off with a free body scan. We're going to do some breathing techniques as well in there. And we'll finish off with a live Q&A. And I will be offering free breakthrough calls to anyone who's interested in taking this further as well. So stay tuned. And if that's something that you are interested, send me a message as soon as possible and I'll get you on that list.
Perfect. So watch out for that, guys. And the best way, I'm guessing, is that through your Instagram or website, or where's the best place to go?
So Instagram, Bianca.Topham, TOPHAM.coach, or Facebook as well, Bianca Topham Life Coach as well. There's in Instagram, there's a link to my bio as well, where you can download a free Back to Balance workbook. This includes a burnout checklist as well, if you're in any doubts. Also a wellness wheel, if you'd like to start on, those things that we were speaking about earlier as well. Some reflective questions to take on from there, what it would be like to work with me, and testimonials and my story.
Perfect. So guys, you'll find all the links for those in the show notes as well. So head on over to there and you'll be able to link through to those directly. Bianca, it was amazing speaking to you today. I always like to end each of these podcasts with gratitude and just say thank you for the work that you're doing. I mentioned before, if you're not following Bianca on Instagram already, please do so. There's so much good value on there. There's so many lives, there's so many great things to do, and she's one of those people that sort of light up the stories when she comes on. So if she's a great person to have on your feed, coming up every day with that positive sort of inspiration and work that she's doing. So again, Bianca, thank you so much for your time today. Really great to talk to you.
And
I'm really excited about what you're going to be doing in the future, because I know with some of the stuff that you've spoken about today, you're going to help so many people. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much again for having me, and also thanks to anyone that's listening. You know, I really appreciate you listening, taking the time out of your day. I really hope this has helped.
Perfect. And guys, if you're listening to this or watched it over on YouTube, we'd really love to hear if you had any kind of breakthroughs while you've been listening or watching with this. You know, were there things that really stood out for you? Maybe there was things that you identified as burnt out, you know, you being burnt out at different stages of your life. Maybe as we spoke about kind of the process, there were things that you thought, oh, I can maybe do that tomorrow, or get in touch with someone like Bianca. Please feel free to put those in the comments and reach out to us. Both of us are over on Instagram. You can do that as well. Also, if you haven't already, we'd love you to subscribe to the podcast. Wherever you're listening to this or watching this, just hit that subscribe. You'll be able to get future updates in the future when all the new podcasts come out. And also you'll be able to know when all the other top news is coming out and all that kind of good stuff. And lastly, if you're over on Facebook and you want a safe place of the internet to join with like-minded people that are building successful, proactive personal brands, just search for the Elevate community and you'll find us there. We're a small but perfectly formed community over there, and we'd love to have you there. But until next time, I've been Ross Dean. This has been Make Today Count, and I'll see you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.